What's going on, guys? My name is RagingRaptor and I welcome you from lockdown. And today we are having a new Tier 9 Swedish heavy tank in the SuperTest. And this is this behemoth right here. Or rather, Frankenstein's monster, I would rather call it. Because let's be honest, it's just an ML2 hull with a Centurion 7.1 turret. That's literally all that is to this tank. So you could already imagine what this tank will have for stats when it comes to mobility, when it comes to firepower, and so on and so forth. And that's pretty much it. It is literally just the ML2 hull with a Centurion 7.1 turret and the Centurion's L7A1 Royal Ordnance gun. So this tank has 390 alpha, is classified as a heavy, which is fairly mobile, and it has 10 degrees of gun depression with decent-ish turret armor, but I wouldn't call it like very good. Obviously, Centurion 7.1 has weaknesses against higher tiered opponents, especially when they're shooting heat screens or heats. We are going to have a look at that in just a second when we have a quick discussion about the armor model of this tank. Also, please do not hate me right now. I have to improvise a little bit. As already mentioned, lockdown. My father is doing home office and he stole my second monitor. Meaning I have to do everything a little bit on the fly when it comes to switching between windows. So these are the stats of the STRV K, and I want to go over the stats a little bit before we compare it with some other tanks, mainly the Conqueror as well as the AE Phase 1, because I personally think both those tanks have similar gameplay styles. And as already mentioned, it has 390 alpha, it has no hash rounds, which is a little bit good, but also a little bit sad in my opinion. But yeah, the big thing which already is a little bit weird is that it only has 249 millimeters of standard penetration. Is we know the Centurion 7.1's L7 gun does has, 265 millimeters of penetration, if I'm not mistaken. Again, this is what I mean. I have to improvise slightly. 268 millimeters of standard pen. Obviously, the 7.1's L7 has hash as premium rounds, which we are not going to have in this tank. So it's a bit hard to judge what these premium rounds could be on tier 9. But yeah, 298 millimeters of standard premium penetration on APCR rounds sounds a little bit meh in my opinion. I don't know. I feel like the penetration rates are just underwhelming a little bit, because yes, it is APCR, and this makes it, in my opinion, harder to pen usually, because you do have the lack of normalization, because it only has 2 degrees instead of 5 degrees for the AP rounds. And yes, the HE is a little bit underwhelming with just 480 alpha with 53 millimeters of penetration. And still, it will be enough to have some go at some very lightly armored tanks like artilleries or, for example, a Lynx. Now, the reload time is 10.6 seconds. It sounds bad in my opinion on paper, but when you are starting to do some calculations, which again I have to do on paper to write it down my notes because I have no second screen, darn it, I came down to 2270 DPM, which is actually pretty decent. We are going to have a little comparison with the other tanks in just a second, but then we have 0.35 accuracy base, which is also very good, so you can easily pump that down with a good crew, with vents, with rations, to maybe 0.31, which is very decent. And an aim time of 1.8 seconds, that is very good, meaning that in around 3 seconds you should be fully aimed in, because again, aim time is just how big your the time it takes to go down to 60% of the aim circle's size when from fully aimed. So yeah, the aim time is actually very good. The turret traverse is also very fast with 40 degrees per second, and the gun elevation and depression angles at -10 and +18 degrees are very formidable. And lastly, you have 45 rounds, which is more than enough, meaning, well, you can have 25 APs standard rounds, 20 premium rounds, and 5 HEs, which really pleases my OST. No. My, whatever, I forgot the name. But yeah, let's have a quick look at comparing it not to the Centurion, but to the Conqueror and the AE Phase 1. And you can see that the DPM is very slightly below the DPMs of the Conqueror as well as the AE Phase 1. The aim time is very much similar to that of the Conqueror, but the Conqueror does boast better standard round penetration and better premium round penetration as well as hash, you know. And accuracy is also a little bit better on the Conqueror than it is on the STRV K. Lastly, we sadly do not know what the accuracy values are because of all the corona stuff. The staff has to stay at home, so they weren't able to send me the accurate data of this tank. I'm sorry for that. But it has more rounds both than the AE Phase 1 and the Conqueror, which is a good thing. Obviously, it has slightly less deep shot per damage, which obviously makes sense. And the depression angles are same, but even actually better by 3 degrees. So I'll totally will take that for me. Next up, we have the mobility, and this is, I think, where the STRV K will shine. 40 kph top speed, 18 kph reverse speed, which is very good in my opinion. A 15 HP per ton ratio when you round it up, but with modules we probably have around 14.5 and 45 degrees per second hold traverse. Again, this is very good in my personal opinion. We can once again compare it with the HP per ton ratio right here. You can see it will be on par with the Conqueror or the AE Phase 1, but don't forget it has 5 kph more top speed than both those tanks. Meaning, even though the power to weight ratio is roughly equal, it means it will be faster because those tanks usually reach their limits. And look at that, 12 kph backwards on Conqueror and on AE Phase 1. Meanwhile, STRV K runs around with 18. That is a very good value in my personal opinion. So yeah, and look at the hull traverse speed. We had 40 degrees and now we are 31 and 27 degrees. Seriously, it really feels like the STRV K will be 45, excuse me, will be much more formidable as an enemy when it comes to mobility wise. So it will be able to get some key positions, at least from just those stats right here, which is very good in my personal opinion. And lastly, we have the survivability, and there's not really much to say, let's be honest. It's a Centurion 7-1 turret with the ML2's armor. But 400 meters fuel range, which is amazing in my opinion for a tier 9 heavy tank. It really makes tanks feel so much more convenient to play. The fuel range is better than on the AE Phase 1 and equal on the Conqueror. I still do think the AE Phase 1 and the Conqueror will have better turret armor because, let's be honest, well, the Conqueror may be on par, but will be slightly better, especially against heats, and the hull won't be as good. But here we have the ML2's hull, which it should be the same, but actually am I wrong? 80, 60, 30? 90, 70, It looks like I might be wrong right here. That is interesting. Could it be the Kranwagen's hull, which would be very weird. I didn't really read anything about this could be the Kranwagen's hull, but yes, it is the Kranwagen's hull. My bad right there. So it actually is even better than the Emil's hull. So that is very good because yes, the Kranwagen hull is not really that good, let's be honest. But if you're able to really stay hull down, it can bounce a decent chunk of shots. And the most important thing is it has 70mm of side armor. This is very important in my opinion, comparing it to the 60mm. Those 10mm can make a difference when you are, for example, side scraping against a 183 gun, like the, Stage 2. Because the Stage 2 has overmatch against this one right here, this side with AP, while against the Kranwagen hull it doesn't. So most likely we even have this little spot right here, which would be weird, I would say. We can quickly have a look when we have a picture from the front. And we actually don't really have a good picture from the front. That's a bit unlucky. But maybe it also has this little spot right there. Maybe a little bit more armor because of this plate over here for the turret ring. It will be hard to judge. But again, Actually, the hull is pretty decent in that sense when it is the Kranwagen hull. But obviously, it has the Centurion Mark 7-1's turret, so it will be not bad, but the biggest issue in my opinion will be that those flanks right here are just 254 millimeters thick. So you can just load some premium rounds and smash like you would on this video, or just smash right through it, you know. So also this roof right here makes it very, very weak against heats once again, even if you're using 10 degrees of gun depression, which it has. It makes it really easy to pen here right through, because yes, here it is out ricochet, but just shoot here with heats, you know. It's 254 millimeters. At this angle, there's no real change in accuracy, you know. On effective armor, it's maybe like 5 millimeters or something. So I'm a little bit conflicted with the STRV K, you know. It looks like a fun concept. It looks like a very, very weird concept in that kind of sense. It might even looks a little bit lazy, you know, because it literally is just a Kranwagen with a STRV turret. I actually even don't know if this tank will be what it will be, or if it is even historical. So if somebody knows what this will be, let me know in the comment section below. I do know that War Thunder just recently got the Swedish tech tree, and I don't really remember seeing the STRV K, to be honest. I do know they have the STRV 81, which we also have in the game, and the STRV 102, which as far as I know is just a Swedish built Centurion. So this one is new and is unique in the sense that, again, it tries to get two things together. I do look forward to have a Swedish tank, which isn't an autoloader, which is a heavy tank. And again, the mobility is fine. The mobility really is fine. And the armor-wise, I wouldn't say it is in super bad. Again, it will be suffering against premium rounds, period. That's just how it is. Premium rounds will be very, 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 very frustrating when you are the STRV K. Also, again, what is going to happen with this tank? Will it be the new ranked reward? Will it be like this seasons of Frontline, where we have several tier 9 tanks you can play or get through ranks, you know? It will be very, very hard to judge. One last thing I really do not like about this vehicle is it will be a very, 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 very poor crew trainer for the Swedish heavy tank line. It only has, or excuse me, not it only, it has more crew members than you would ever need. It has 5 crew members. And sadly enough, I simply do not know where I should get the radio operator and the loader. Because as far as I know, the Emil and the Kranwagen, we can once again go quickly here, only has 3 crew members, being the commander, the driver and the gunner. So you have to find a radio operator as well as a loader to help out playing this tank. So lastly, predictions. What will happen with this tank? What will it be? It's hard to tell. Again, Wargaming may or may not fiddle around with free-to-play premiums, you know, free XP premiums, like they did in World of Warships. It could be, but it's hard to tell. It's really, really hard to tell in my opinion. Oops, sorry, my mistake right there. Maybe it's just another reward vehicle. Maybe it is a reward for an upcoming maybe it's a new tree, heck even. I highly doubt it. I do know, again, with Swedish heavy tanks or Swedish tanks in a game, there are a lot of tanks which I would like to have in World of Tanks, like the EKV, which is the Infanteriekanonenwagen. If I'm not mistaken, it's a light tank. It is even amphibious, but I think World of Tanks will not introduce amphibious tanks. Again, it's hard to judge what is going to happen with this tank. It looks cool in my opinion, it is decent from the stats wise. I'll look forward to have a play in this tank. What do you think about the STRV K? Are you hyped? Do you think, well, it's another Batchat Brusque in that sense, of it's just a Batchat hull with an EBR turret on top of it. And literally have the same thing right here. It's a Kranwagen hull with a Centurion turret on it. Is Wargaming trying to do a World of Tanks tank tree where we have mashups of different tanks, which can lead to incredible broken tanks like a 50p hull with a chieftain turret and a TVP gun? You know, that sounds a little bit strong. Who knows? It's hard to judge. It's hard to tell. We still don't know what is happening with the UDIS 03 Alt 03, as well as we do not know yet what is happening with the Object 752, the Russian Tier 9 autoloader. But there are now 3 Tier 9 tanks in the game, 2 of which being Swedish. where we do not know yet what is going to happen with. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's video, let me know in the comment section below. Again, I'm really sorry, I do need to get a second monitor again. It's a little bit annoying when I have to constantly do this, I know, and I'm a little bit too lazy to edit that all out. It's just how I am. Plus, I also had to invest in something new, which I'm very hyped to unbox today and get ready to roll. It's a new processor, which is going to, what's it called? Which is going to replace my 5-year-old i7. And it's an AMD 3900X with 12 cores. Oh, I'm really looking forward to this. Thank you so much for watching. My name is RagingRaptor. See you on the battlefield. And if you liked the video, feel free to subscribe. If you didn't, let me know what I can do better. Obviously, the things which I just told is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, thank you so much. Cheers, guys. I'll see you in the next video.